everyone. I have a special guest with me today. She starred as Tammy Winslow on Guiding Light from 2002 to 2007. She's also known for her work as Madison North in All My Children, I believe it was. Please welcome Stephanie Gatschet. Stephanie, how are you?
Good, good. Thank you. Thanks for having me
Thank you for
to
being here.
actually
This
meet.
is such an honor. I don't know what to do with myself right now. I'm still geeking out right now.
Oh, how fun. It's nice to meet you too. And as I was saying to you before, just really fun to connect with people where I can get nostalgic about my soap days and it has, that time has a really, really special place in my heart too. So I'm always happy to talk about it and reminisce.
I don't know though. You seem so different in person. You don't seem all like I don't know. You seem more serious. Whereas on Guiding Light, when you were Tammy Winslow, you seemed more bubbly and like sort of full of
Yeah, yeah,
energy.
yeah.
I'm not saying
No, I
you're
was, however,
not.
I was maybe 15 years younger too.
Oh, okay. So maybe
I
that's
don't
what it was.
know. Uh,
So I guess my first question would be, how did you get involved with Guiding Light?
I auditioned for Guiding Light. Actually, I had auditioned for Guiding Light a few times before I was actually cast as Tammy. So I was a teenager. I maybe started auditioning for Guiding Light when I was high school aged. I remember even screen testing for a role, or maybe it wasn't a screen test, but like a producer session where you get in the room with the executive producer. It's like the top audition before they cast someone. And I remember at the time, Paul Rausch was the executive producer, and he did not cast me. And he gave some feedback to my manager or agent at the time that was very negative, it felt like. He just really didn't like me in the audition. And
Hmm.
so it's funny now because I look back and remember thinking in high school, oh, well, I'll never get a part on that show. Like I've auditioned for it a few times, but the executive producer doesn't like me. I'm not going to get a part on this show. But one of the keys to succeeding in the acting business, as it turns out, is persistence, sticking with it, continuing to learn and do your best. Because lo and behold, I was 19. It was the summer after my freshman year of college at NYU when I auditioned for another role. Turned out to be for Tammy. And maybe the role was just a better fit, or I had had a year of theater school under my belt, and maybe I had improved. I don't know. But luck had it that time he liked me, and they cast me. And yeah, they initially cast me as a recurring character. And over the course of time, I stuck around, and it developed into a contract role. But yeah, it was maybe the fourth or fifth time I had auditioned to be on Guiding Light, and it just finally was the right thing at the right time, I guess.
Well, let me say, I don't see how anybody could not like you. You're so freaking awesome. Oh my goodness.
Thanks, Darnell.
I'm geeking out. I'm sorry. I apologize to the audience.
We all get it.
Oh my goodness. What was your favorite storyline as Tammy? Like when you were playing Tammy, what did you enjoy doing the most?
I mean, I never went, I never became an actress or got into soaps thinking that I would kind of have the infamous incest storyline. I often forget, or I think people often forget that major kind of years long Tammy Jonathan love story started as a cousins sleeping with each other
Yeah.
storyline. But the way that story developed became so fun and um, and so interesting because of, I mean, it is weird on one hand, but it made for super interesting love story. And that forbidden love is I think super fun, and I think any of us that enjoy like soaps or TV or even good novels love that whole forbidden love concept. So that was really fun to play out, and also getting to work with Tom Pelfrey, who's just one of the finest actors I've ever known or worked with, was a real treat as an actress, like getting to partner with him on screen. So that story and the way that it developed and twisted and turned all the way up through Tammy's death
Yeah.
I felt like that story was really, really cool to be part of.
Yeah, that was actually one of the questions I had on here about the incest thing. And I know, they tried to make it seem all sweet and everything. I was like, but wait, that's her cousin.
I think they never had a plan at the beginning to pair the two characters together. They brought Jonathan in, and he was a bad boy and causing trouble. And he seduced Tammy as a means of causing trouble in the family. And they maybe didn't expect that there would be such chemistry or that it would be so interesting of a pairing, right? And fans were caught in this weird position of like wanting more, but then there was that minor detail, oh wait, but they're family. So then it became this interesting dance of how do we kind of make that okay or justify it, or I don't know if we ever did actually justify it, just kind of went with it. I think eventually brushed that bit of it under the rug, although it was a big part of the storyline, Tammy and Jonathan dealing with their families, Cassie's reaction and Reva's reaction to the fact that they were falling in love with each other. I got a lot of fan mail at the time from people either outraged, like, how can you promote incest? This is disgusting. What are they doing? What are the writers thinking? But I got an equal number of fan letters and messages saying, I know it's wrong, but I really love the pairing, or, incest is legal in 26 states, so I don't know what's the big deal. I learned a lot more about incest than I ever wanted to know. But it made for, it's a soap. What are soaps if not like a place to just play around with the ridiculous and have fun with it?
Yeah, I have to say, because, I mean, you look at it and you say, oh, that's beautiful, but then you have to turn around and look, well, wait, that's her cousin. I just can't get past that part.
Half cousin.
Well, I mean, yeah, but still, it's like, your family. Gross,
Choice, for sure.
Yeah, it was really gutsy of the producers to try something like that.
Yeah.
Even in 2004, 2005, like, that's just a no-no. You don't do that. You don't sleep with the cousin. Come on.
You don't. But if we can ignore that bit of it, the journey that Tammy and Jonathan shared, I think was fun to follow.
Yeah, I think what they should have done was maybe have it revealed that they weren't cousins. That way it wouldn't be, as taboo, as controversial.
Right.
It would have
considered that. But at the same time, I think soaps have a tendency to like to be sort of controversial.
That's true.
Just really like pushing boundaries. And I think maybe they lost some fans over that, because I think it really did offend some people. But at the end of the day, it also it gives people something to talk about, something to debate about, something to, push boundaries and be different and soapy.
Yeah. Were there any funny moments on set? Did you just burst out with laughter? Like, what happened? Tell us.
Yes. Oh gosh, I'm probably not going to remember specifics, but there are YouTube videos of Guiding Light bloopers, and I remember being on in a couple of those blooper moments. But what I remember really, and I laugh easily. I like go into giggle fits very easily. But I remember at the end of every scene, you'll notice in soaps, we do what's called the tag. And that's, someone says the last line of the scene. It's usually something dramatic or a cliffhanger or something. And then we stare at each other for like an eternity. It's really like 10 seconds. There's a stare back and forth. And then we cut the commercial or the scene. That's called the tag. So you have to say your last line of the scene, usually something dramatic, and then hold it and just do a stare at each other. And I tell you, when they call cut, I want to say like 8 out of 10 times, any of us would hold our tag, they called cut, and then we either make a goofy face, crack up laughing. We would be in the most serious moments at the end of a scene for those tag shots. Sometimes very serious, but soaps are very like melodramatic, right? And so sometimes it feels almost ridiculous, the melodrama. So we would get to those tags at the end and hold those dramatic stares. And then as soon as they call cut, we would crack up. We would make faces at each other. We would make jokes. So it's kind of fun to think about when you watch a show, especially a soap, and you see those intense moments at the end of a scene. You can pretty much know that in real life, when cut was called at the end of that long dramatic stare, there was probably a joke cracked, probably laughter, or probably someone like making a face at their scene partner.
Yeah,
just to bring attention, because those moments are just so unnatural and kind of
right. And it's not that I'm trying to poke fun at it, because I love soaps, but I mean, you've got to think to yourself, realistically speaking, nobody talks like that. I mean, you don't go up to somebody and go, hey, I'll make up an example. Let's say if I said to you, Stephanie, I'm your long lost brother. And then I just stare at you for like 5 seconds. Like, no, nobody does that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And to break that kind of tension or like awkwardness it really feels awkward. Then you just got to laugh it out. So we did that a lot.
It sort of makes it look silly when you explain it, but on screen, it looks so dramatic. And so I guess you guys are really accomplishing your goal, because that's what you're setting out to do. You're setting out to make it dramatic, suspenseful. What are they going to say next? And you guys, you have done a wonderful job, whether you were doing it with Pelfrey or whether it was Laura Wright or Nicole Forrester, just whoever it was, Kim Zimmer, you were just great. I didn't get to see your character until 2003, unfortunately. I wasn't watching when you were there at the beginning, but when I saw you, like, Tammy became an instant favorite. I watched Guiding Light for Tammy Winslow. That was one of the reasons.
Thank you.
A little crush,
All right.
It is what it is. Don't tell anybody. But, crushing a little bit there. But I read that you're from Philadelphia. What was life like growing up there?
Yeah, I grew up in downtown Philly, like right in Center City, Philadelphia. So it was real urban living, not in a suburb. And I loved it. I didn't get a car till I was in my 20s. I walked and took public transportation everywhere. And I really like having grown up in a city for the sake that I was surrounded by, there's a lot of diversity. I was exposed to a lot of things. I could walk everywhere. I really liked it. And then it kind of prepped me well for moving to New York when I started college, because New York is obviously such a big city and could maybe be overwhelming, but I just had a love of big cities because that's what I knew. So I carried that with me then to New York, where I lived for another 8 years after Philly.
And see, I like the fact that you mentioned diversity, because with this whole thing going on with the social unrest in the world and the whole Black Lives Matter thing, it makes me very happy as a person of color to hear someone say, well, I enjoyed the diversity, and, I guess that's why you're so open-minded. And I was telling someone, I said, well, she seems very down to earth. Whereas a lot of these actors and actresses seem all stiff and everything. You seem down to earth, very cool, very nice to talk to. And, I just really hope that I can keep in touch with you long after this interview.
For
you
sure.
Seem like a cool person.
Likewise. Well, thank you.
And this whole thing, like I said, with Black Lives Matter, it's good for people to have diversity in their lives. They have to learn that not everybody looks the same. Everyone's not going to look like you. Everyone's not going to speak the way you do, dress the way you do, act the way you do. You have to learn how to get along with other people. And that's just the way I look at it. So
Same. And I think it's important that we are exposed to all walks of life and all colors and all types of people. And if we're not raised in a place that has diversity, we have to just do the extra work to expose ourselves, expose our children. For example, my daughter's not growing up in Philly. We are living in a place now with far less diversity in our immediate neighborhood, and it's become a mission of mine to get her out into the world and meeting and knowing people from all walks of life.
And I'm sure you're doing a great job at it. That, you know, like I said, I'm just enjoying this. This is one of the best days of my life. Guiding Light truly is and was and will always be one of the best soaps out there, if not the best soap, you know?
Thank you. I have to take a second and just plug a project that I'm working on with my friend Paul Goslin. I don't know if you've heard of it. He has a web series called Misguided that he created because he always had a dream of being an actor on Guiding Light, but then we went off the air and he no longer had that opportunity to audition or try to make that dream come true. So he created his own web series, and several actors from Guiding Light and other soaps are in it. So he's kind of created his own revival almost of Guiding Light in a short web series now with 3 seasons. And it's his mission. He started the hashtag Reignite the Light. So it's Paul's mission to reignite the light and get us all back together and up and going.
How are you going to come back? You're dead.
I'm dead. You know? But it is a soap. And
yeah, that's true. That's true. It wasn't really you that died. It was your cousin or something. I don't know. I'm helping you out.
How did Reva come back? Because I think
yeah, she's been back so many times, and I don't know. These soaps
always figure it out.
Yeah, these soaps are crazy. They really are. I guess my next question would be, on August 29th of 2005, America was hit with one of the worst, if not the worst, natural disasters of all time, Hurricane Katrina. How did that affect you personally?
Well, it's interesting because I think at that time we were all learning more about the force of nature and her power. And it wasn't though until our entire cast and crew went down to Biloxi, Mississippi to work with an organization called Hands On to help with some rebuilding down there, that we really got an up-close feel for the devastation there and what really Katrina did. But we had that opportunity in February or so, 2006. We all went down there and spent a week. I remember I was on the team of people that was installing drywall in a house, rebuilding a house for an elderly woman. But there were 3 houses that we were broken up into teams to work on rebuilding with this organization called Hands On, because so many people had lost their homes and couldn't rebuild on their own. So that was eye-opening for me. That was a really big just life lesson, kind of eye-opening experience in my life that I'll never forget. And now when I hear about other natural disasters and hurricanes and things that have become a big problem in general in the world, it kind of gives me a new level of empathy and understanding of what that kind of devastation really looks like on the ground. Because I guess I've been fortunate that I haven't lived in a place yet where I've experienced a major natural disaster. I mean, we have wildfires going on in California, and a lot of people I know are affected, but I've never been through a disaster like that or like a major hurricane before. So having had that experience of going there, which was only possible because of Guiding Light's involvement, was had a huge impact on me.
You were just, I can't say it enough. You just seem like an amazing person. Really.
Thank you.
I mean, if I were in California and I knew where you lived without sounding like a stalker, you know, I would be hanging out with you all the time.
Well, call me when you come to California. Times will change and we can travel again. And
this is truly amazing. Thank you so much for doing this.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah, anytime.
I'm going to go to my next question. I guess I would ask, what motivated you to help with the crisis? Like, what motivated you to say, I've got to go down there and I've got to do something?
Well, we were really rallied by our leader at that time, our executive producer, Ellen Wheeler. So at the time it was, although I think I had, Darnell, do you remember the year exactly? I think you just said it earlier.
Anyway. The year that you went down there to New Orleans?
Yeah.
I think you said it might have been 2006. So
I think it might have been, or was it 2008? Because I seem to remember that I finished taping.
That's what I have here. I said I thought it was 08 because
I think it was 08 because I had finished taping my final episodes, I think.
Yeah, because you were already quote unquote dead. So I think it was 08 because you were dead.
Gosh, my memory is really terrible right now. But in any case, yeah, I would just remember feeling grateful for the opportunity, thinking like, you know, how lucky we were to have someone recommend that we all do that together, that we do something as a cast that was meaningful. And that started a whole series. I don't know if you remember that year on Guiding Light. Guiding Light became very active in community service, and cast members would get together, I believe it was on a monthly basis, and go hands-on volunteer with different organizations to try to get involved in the community. And it was, I think they called it Be the Light. It was this whole series kind of
Find the Light.
Find the Light.
Inside the Light.
Inside the Light. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Something about the light. So I just thought that was a super cool initiative to kind of bridge entertainment with real life impact.
Yeah, I thought it was 2008. I was like, yeah, I think it was 08. Because
wrong. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I said, yeah, because she was dead on screen. And I remember you going down there, and I think somebody opened the door or opened their house door or something. And I remember you saying, I'm Stephanie. You were introducing yourself. So, wow, you can tell I'm just a geek if I can remember all these things. But I literally remember you saying that, and that's when I knew. I said, I've got to meet her. You know, this is. I love doing these interviews because I'm big on nostalgia. So.
Same. I'm super nostalgic, and I still have scrapbooks from my Guiding Light days that were made by fans of the show, where they would put together like soap opera digests and magazine clippings or photos from fan events and things. And I look at those. My mom and I will go through those once in a while, and I showed them to my daughter once just to say, you know, Mommy was cool once, believe it or not.
You still are.
And I love the nostalgia of it because it just was like the most amazing time. And I think everyone who followed Guiding Light for any period of time grew to love it in such a way that we can all think about it with just such nostalgia and fondness. And I was recently talking to someone who went back during this COVID time. You know, we're all looking for ways to find comfort and peace in crazy times, and she was telling me that she went back and she had to stop watching Guiding Light at a certain point because of work or something, but she went back and started watching episodes she had never seen because she could find them on YouTube. So she just brought it back into her life recently that way because it's comforting, you know, because we feel like we know, you know, when we watch a soap for so many years, you feel like you know the characters like they're part of your life. And it was that way for me. Everyone on Guiding Light became family to me. So when I watch back or think back, it just...
I just wish you guys could come back. I really do. I wish there was a way to come back and bring you back. And that's actually one of my questions later down the list. But back to what we were saying earlier with you and Tom Pelfrey. How did it make you feel doing something like that? I mean, we knew that it would undoubtedly spark such controversy. How did that make you feel?
You know, I think I was down for it. I was not afraid of it. My point of view is that soaps do, you know, soap storylines are crazy. And the truth is, like, I've been told so many times that soap opera storylines are far-fetched or unrealistic, but at this point in my life, I can confidently say that real life drama is often far more ridiculous than soap opera drama. There is nothing too ridiculous to be, you know, there's just nothing too ridiculous. Life is crazy. So I didn't mind. I mean, I think when I first read the scripts that showed they were gonna pair us or kind of have us be together, I was shocked, and there was definitely a feeling of shock and like, whoa, we are gonna go there. But I just thought, well, this is soaps.
Yeah. Now there was a scene, well, a couple of scenes, I should say, where you were also together with the gentleman that played Sandy Foster. I forgot his real name. It escapes me. Okay, yeah, Scott. Yeah, I remember him. And you know, he seemed pretty okay, I guess, but then his character sort of went psycho. And he was kind of weird to begin with because he was in the house and he was talking to himself, Sandy and the mole, and it's like, I thought the mole was another person, and then you find out that it was him. So it's like, this is really weird.
It was weird. I think from like a storyline perspective, they had to make him go a little crazy. So in order to help with people getting on board with the Tammy Jonathan thing, because if everyone were on Sandy's side, then in particular, Jonathan coming along, being the cousin, the whole thing, you know, sometimes in these soap romance storylines, they have to kind of villainize someone in order to justify a character moving on to a new relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see that. But the way he died, though, he fell off a cliff. I'm like, that is not good.
Dramatic.
Yeah, I know. It really was. Falling off a cliff and dying like that. What was your first impression of Tom Pelfrey when you met him?
Well, he's one of a kind. I'll say that. Like, there's just no other actors like him, and no other people quite like him. He really takes command of a space and a room, and has a larger than life presence. What was that, Darnell?
I said he definitely does. Tom is great.
He's amazing and very much larger than life. So I think when he came into the mix, all of us were kind of like, whoa, here's this guy with, I don't know, well, I'm sure anyone who watched Guiding Light knows his laugh. And his laugh you can hear from down the hall or you know, from far away. Oh, you know Tom's coming because you hear his loud, one-of-a-kind laugh. And then you get on set with him, and he, for as funny and fun-loving and all of those things as he is, when he gets on set and gets to work, he has this amazing work ethic, and his acting skills are so incredible that he could go from kind of goofing around, having a good time, making everybody laugh, which he did, to jumping right into something very, very dramatic, and he would take it so seriously and help the rest of us up our games. And I think any one of us that worked with him would say that when we got on set with Tom, he made us up our game because he was so good.
Yeah.
So I feel like we all improved and worked harder being around him.
Yeah, definitely. I remember there was a storyline where Philip Spaulding was shot, and they had a scene where Jonathan was making jokes about it, and I'm like, wait a minute, so someone just got shot and this guy's making a joke? I said, he's really sick, but I liked it because he had that laugh, you know? That really twisted, and I like that. You know, that's pretty cool. I really liked Tom's performance as Jonathan Randall. And then he went on to As the World Turns, and he did Mick Dante. So that guy, I've been trying to get in touch with Tom. Tom is just wonderful. So if you see Tom or you hear from him, could you please give him my regards and let him know that he can't.
We touch base every once in a while, so I'll send him a message And
Let
let
him
her
know that
know.
he has a really big fan out there. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And while we're on the subject of guiding light, let's cover some of these storylines if you don't mind. There was a storyline. It was like a love triangle with you, Jonathan, and Lizzie. Let's talk about that for a second. It really got my goat. I said, how dare this Lizzie Spalding come in here and try to take Tammy away from Jonathan.
It's funny. It's amazing how some of the details of these storylines, like escape my memory. But I remember the storyline, of course. And I think again, in just good soapy fashion, there had to be some tension, the more you separate two people that you want to see together, the more that there's that buildup of wanting them ultimately to end up back together. But now that was the Lizzie was pregnant storyline, wasn't it? Or
yes, I believe so. Yes.
That it was maybe his baby or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Okay.
Just made me so angry. Then I couldn't stand Lizzie. I was like, oh my goodness, I wish they would get rid of her. You guys were great. I watched so faithfully every single morning.
Oh, thank you.
Never let it pass. And if I couldn't watch it, I would tape it. So, I remember there was a scene where Jonathan's father came into the picture and he was dipping his head underwater. He was trying to drown you. I think he was drowning you. Just such good acting. You guys, I can't praise you enough.
Thank you. Well, I will say that actor's name is Richie Coster, and he too, like Tom, is very, very good. Just like really top-notch actor. And so that bit of the storyline where I was lucky enough to work with the two of them together, that was really fun, and I'm just in awe of them both as actors. So that was a really lucky opportunity for me.
This has truly been a wonderful day for me. I want to ask you, do you have any hobbies or interests or aspirations outside of acting? And if so, what are they?
Yeah, so actually I've followed another one of my passions into a new career path. So I was still acting through 2012-ish. I went on after Guiding Light to do All My Children for a couple of years. Then All My Children went off the air, and then I stayed in LA for another year or so, auditioning and thinking I would continue to pursue acting. But the work I enjoyed, being on soaps, I really enjoyed and was lucky to do for basically the whole of my 20s. But being an out-of-work actress and having to hustle and audition and put your basically fate in other people's hands, waiting for someone to pick you for a part and all those things, the instability of that business really wasn't for me at that point in my life. So I made the decision to kind of put it aside, knowing that I started acting when I was a kid. When I was like 9 or 10, I started doing theater. And so I thought, wow, I've done this for 20 years and it's been amazing, but I do have passions for other things. So I ended up moving to San Diego. And over the course of a few years after moving here, I really found myself interested in what I'll call the wellness space, the health and wellness space. I started doing a lot of meditating and changed my diet in a healthy way and things like that. And eventually, after I had worked for a few functional medicine doctors, like naturopaths and DOs, and doctors that pay close attention to lifestyle factors in our health, I decided that I wanted to focus on nutrition and really help people with nutrition. And so when my daughter was a year and a half or so, I went back to school and got my master's in clinical nutrition. And now I am a integrative nutritionist, and I really am passionate about holistic wellness and kind of taking control of our health through lifestyle. And I love working with people on that. And I do, hobby-wise, I still enjoy a meditation practice. And at this point, my daughter's 5.5. So if I had a real hobby, I would say it's doing kid stuff with her.
Well, I mean, as a nutritionist, I'm going to tell you right now, you you couldn't get me involved with that because listen, I want to die happy. Let me die with a cheeseburger in my hand. I'm not gonna drink wheatgrass or whatever you call it. I'm not doing it. It's not gonna work.
Fair enough, Darnell. But I will say what the way I like to work with nutrition clients is on a very personalized basis. And I don't think there's a one size fits all or a right or a wrong in terms of ways of eating. But I do think there are ways that we can use foods, nutrients, in supplementation and holistic kind of lifestyle practices to support our health. But when I work with people, I like to take into consideration, you know, if I tell someone like you, for example, to drink a shot of wheatgrass every morning and follow a paleo diet and never, you know, whatever that's not appealing to you, that's not going to work. That's not the plan for you because you're not going to follow it. But there may be things, tweaks we can make in your life, or what I like to look at is things we can add to your diet just to make sure that you're getting an abundance of nutrients that your body needs. So I like to do a lot less of the taking away and a lot more of the putting in to the body what it needs. So anyway, that's just to give a little more insight into how I work with people where they're at.
This is literally the greatest thing I've ever heard where diet is concerned.
It's very personalized, and a plan has to be something that someone's going to follow. It can't be something, you know, that I tell you and you'll never do, because that makes sense.
This is great. If this were any other person talking to me about dietary habits and things, I'd be ignoring them. But I have to
my cheeseburger.
Yeah, right? I have to say again, and I hope I'm not weirding you out, but this has truly been one of my favorite interviews, and I'll tell you why. I don't mean to put you on the spot, and after we're done recording, if you want, I can even edit this out. But I have to say, the fact that you have personalized this interview lets me know what type of person you are, because you've used my name, and I was talking to my grandma about this. There's nothing more personal than a person's name. When a person addresses you by name, they're personalizing it. Or if they give you their name, they've given you something very precious because they gave you their name. If I say, my name is Darnell, and then you say, I'm Stephanie, to me that's very touching because you've given your name, and it's a very personal thing, and there's nothing more personal than a person's name. And I want to commend you for being one of the best guests on this channel. Of all the celebrity guests I've had, you are another one of them, because you've been excellent. Like I said, you've personalized the interview. Not very many actors or actresses have done that with this. You've used my name several times, and I really appreciate it. I think you ought to be commended, and I really hope that Soap Central and all these other soap opera outlets see this interview. I hope it gets out there. You are fantastic. You really are. You truly are.
Thank you. That's really nice of you to say. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to come here and reminisce and think about the good times, you know?
Yeah, you're just fantastic. I can't say it enough, and I thank you for doing this. My next question is, whose decision was it to write Tammy out? Who decided to get rid of her?
Good question. Well, so I had come to the end of a contract, and I think it's fairly common that actors would have a contract role on a soap for typically 3 years, but it could vary. And at the end of those few years, we have grand dreams of then running to Hollywood and becoming primetime TV stars, movie stars, and so on. So that was, you know, I actually could have stayed on Guiding Light and been very happy. You know, as you saw, I went on to All My Children. I loved working on soaps. They're very, it's a very special thing. But at the time, I was maybe itching a little bit to try other things too. And so I I chose not to renew my contract. So they were going to have to do something with my character one way or another, because I was going to actually up and move to LA and do what was known as pilot season, where you audition for all the new primetime shows, and just give that a try. So I chose not to renew my contract, and there are a lot of things they can do with a character when they don't renew. They can replace them with a new actor. We've seen that a lot on soaps, where one actor leaves and another comes in and plays the same character. Or they may kill a character, or they may send a character off to, move to Europe or something. And I don't think it occurred to me that they would kill Tammy. I think, if anything, I thought they would send me away, just like I moved away or something like that, to leave the door open. Because a lot of times actors will make that decision not to renew their contract, but 6 months later say, actually, I really liked my soap job. I'd like to come back. So, but I remember when Ellen Wheeler, the executive producer at that time, called me into her office and said, she wanted me to know before I read it in a script or something. She said, we're going to kill Tammy.
Wow.
Said, okay. Actually, it made me sad when she first told me, because I think of Tammy as like a friend,
Yeah.
And so I thought, poor Tammy. But I'm really glad they made that decision, because the storyline involved with that, and the storyline that was left for the other actors because of that death, was so good. And even now, if I watch that death scene on YouTube, I cry. It was so moving, the way Jonathan reacted to Tammy dying, and Cassie and everyone. I think it was worth the emotional impact and the drama that surrounded it.
Well, I mean, Tom Pelfrey, he played it so well, because when you died in that hospital bed like that, the way he did it, he was like, no! I was like, wow, this guy,
pain, right?
He was really pouring out his soul. Like, he was just wailing in agony. Was any of that real, or was it, because it looked real, Like, was he really crying? Do you know?
Yeah, Tom Pelfrey knows how to cry on camera, for sure. He's one of his big talents, I would say, is having a rich emotional capacity. He could drum up emotions that were very authentic. It seemed like very easily. I know he worked hard at that, and he spent 4 years in theater school upping his acting game. And it shows, because he was able to go to those emotional depths where it's not always easy, especially in soaps, where you have like one take of something, or you have to move very quickly to get a scene shot. But I also think it was interesting, because Tammy's death, we actually, all of us as actors, felt it. Like how I said I felt sad for Tammy because she was like a friend to me. I think for all of us, there's something sad about someone leaving the show, sad about a storyline coming to an end. And I just feel like we all genuinely felt it in shooting those scenes. But yeah, his emotions were real. He was really crying. He was sobbing. He was really, like next level.
Yeah, he oh my goodness, he really poured it all out. He left it all there in that room with you. It was all left in there. It's almost like he cried so much that he left his essence in the room with you.
But that's why I cry when I watch that scene, is because you can still just so feel it.
Yeah, he really poured it all out. But when you heard that Guiding Light had been canceled, what was the first thought that came into your mind?
I don't know about the first thought, but I know it's saddening. It's very sad. That show was a part of history, and that show is a part of so many people's lives, that I would say it was very sad and disappointing. There's that part of, I'm sure, all of us that thinks, how could they not keep it up? How could now soaps are surprisingly very, very expensive to produce. They're very expensive it's very expensive to crank out 5 full, hour-long episodes of a series every single day of 5 days a week, year-round. And so I think the model just became difficult to sustain. But I would have wished that Procter and Gamble, who owned Guiding Light and As the World Turns, could have pulled through, or if not, that someone could have. It's sad to see it go, but at the same time, there's a feeling of pride to have been part of something historic. I consider Guiding Light historic. It broke records in the length of time it was on television. It was a live radio show before TV was even around. I mean, that show is just incredible and always will be. So it was sad to know that it was not gonna go on. Disappointing, not altogether surprising. Just knowing that soaps weren't making as much money as they used to, and it was getting harder to maintain, produce them. But then also just feeling really proud to have been part of something that was so beloved for so long, and is still, right? Obviously, we're still here talking about it, and people are still watching it and loving it. So that's a big deal.
Yeah, I wish I could have been a part of Guiding Light history, and I would have given Jonathan a run for his money. You know what I mean? I would have come in there and said, "Look, you've been with her long enough. I wanted it. It's my turn now." But I'm just, like I said, I have truly enjoyed this, and I have to ask, if Guiding Light somehow were resurrected, would you go back? I know you're dead, but you know what?
I don't think that matters in the soap world. I think there's a workaround for that, and 100% yes, I would. I loved my time on Guiding Light so much. It was an amazing, amazing time and opportunity that I'm forever grateful for. If that opportunity came up again, it would just be like, what luck. Wow. And in particular, if I got to work with those people that I was lucky enough to work with, because it was a very special group of people.
And, I guess in a small way, I am part of Guiding Light history, because we're talking Guiding Light right here, right now. And again, I can't thank you enough. This is truly amazing. I've had so many guests on the channel. Most of them come from the horror genre. Do you like horror movies, by the way?
I do. Well, I used to love them. I would have probably said, like, at the time that I was on Guiding Light, I probably would have said it was my favorite genre. At the time, I love being scared. I really like suspense, I would say, more than gory kind of horror. I like suspense. But that's changed for me over time, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's being a mom or what, but at this point, I think I'd rather light, comedic over horror.
What was your favorite scary movie?
The one that I watched on repeat was What Lies Beneath with Michelle Pfeiffer and.
Yeah, I've seen that one. I've seen it.
It's maybe not the scariest. It's not like classic horror movies like the ones on your icon there. But it was very suspenseful, and it always got me feeling like.
Have you seen Halloween?
Yes, but it's been so long since I saw
it. I want to test your trivia. Name the killer in Halloween.
Jason? Or is that the right one?
No, that's Friday the 13th.
Okay,
no,
see, that shows me I know.
No, it's Michael Myers.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh, what?
I'm not surprised if I don't have that.
You know what? I'm gonna give you a pass, because you've been such a wonderful guest. And I don't like saying these things, on camera, because people get so offended. But I have two favorite guests. One is from a horror movie called Wishmaster, and now you're also one of my favorites. You're right up there where she is. So,
Thank
you guys are great. And like I said before we wrap this up, I really appreciate you being on camera. because, like I said, you've personalized it, and when a person does something like that, it shows that they're really interested in doing it, and they're not just here just to do it. And I can't thank you again for your professionalism. You've been very warm and friendly, and yet you've been very serious, and I admire that. I like somebody with foundation in their life and that have a belief system, and I really admire you even more now than I did all those years ago. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, and do keep in touch. I think it's nice for us all to just keep guiding light alive, and to find friends. You know.
Oh, you know, I definitely will keep in touch. I remember when I sent you that first little message there on Instagram, and then I messaged you again, and I'm like, I know you're thinking, darn it, this guy, you know.
No, I'm glad you messaged me again, because I'm really bad with Instagram messages. I just am. It's not you that I didn't respond to the first one. I'm just really bad at seeing them, looking at them, and replying in a timely fashion. So I'm glad you reached back out.
What were you thinking when I first requested this?
The first go round?
Yeah, when I first
I don't recall, because I don't even. That's probably why I didn't respond. Is I don't know what was going on at that time that I wasn't able to respond right away. But I'm always flattered by these kinds of requests. I just think
good to know. I'm glad. I'm glad.
Yeah,
I'm really
glad.
I'm glad you did this, and I want to thank you once again. And I want to let the audience know that you guys have been watching a conversation with myself and Stephanie Gatschet from Guiding Light and All My Children. Stephanie, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Darnell.
Perhaps we can resurrect Guiding Light, and we can do that storyline with me, you, and Tom Pelfrey, you know.
There you go.
Give him a run for his money, you know.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Thank you so much for being here, Stephanie. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
All right. Same to you. It was nice meeting you.
Likewise.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.